Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And today I'm going to cover the band Dust, who have quite a cult following now, and a lot of people know about them now. They're considered certainly one of the godfathers of now what's called stoner rock for whatever reason. But they're definitely a lot more complicated than pigeonholing them as stoner rock. So the band Dust had two albums. First one came out in 1971, and the second one came out, I think, later in 71, might be as late as 72, called Heart Attack. And one of the interesting things about the band, of course, is they were signed to Kama Sutra Records because Kama Sutra was trying to change their bubblegum image they got from the 60s. One of their biggest bands, of course, is the Love and Spoonful. So in the early burgeoning hard rock scene of 71, Kama Sutra signed Dust to help change their image, and didn't do much good because there was some cool bands on Kama Sutra, but it wasn't enough to really salvage Kama Sutra as a label. I think they signed Three Man Army right around the same time, as well as the Flamin' Groovies, and so um, didn't really help. Kama Sutra disappeared. But I think it's fascinating about Dust. They were still in high school when they got signed to Kama Sutra, so they were still in high school, just mere teenagers when they recorded their first album. And the records themselves are pretty astonishing. I mean, the technical level of Mark Bell on drums, and the technical level of Kenny Aronson on bass, and even the technical level of Richie Wise on guitar are pretty stunning. And I wouldn't lump them in with stoner rock either because, for one thing, they had a lot of diversity and a lot of great songs. Kenny Aronson also played pedal steel guitar, which they would actually bring out with them live. And there was a lot going on with the band, and they had a lot of really fast songs too. So kind of like Budgie, atypical of the that early hard rock era. They had a lot of pretty blistering uh, fast songs, "Love Me Hard" and "Stone Woman" on the first album, and then stuff like "Suicide" and "Learning to Die." Just incredible stuff. And so they recorded those two albums. There's rumors that there's recording started on a third album, but Richie Wise says that's not true. And so that was the end of Dust. Two albums and a couple singles, and they were gone. It's very unfortunate. And Richie Wise, of course, went on to work as a producer, notably for Casablanca Records. So he co-produced the first Kiss record, for example. Kenny Aronson moved on to Rick Derringer's band Derringer, and Mark Bell briefly was in a band called Estes. There's not much known about Estes, but they were good enough to be signed by Columbia Records and issued one album in '72 called Estes, and an interesting hard rock band with a lot of variety and everything else. But of course, the weirdest part of the story is Mark Bell ended up joining the Ramones and became Mark Ramone, and kind of strange because here's this powerhouse technical drummer playing in a stripped down punk band, but you know a lot of musicians do that. They go from one band to another and one style to another because a new trend has come along. So so anyway, of course we have the first album. I don't have the CD with the original cover anymore, but there's a screenshot of it. It features a bunch of cadavers on the cover, so very striking. Uh, Probably scared a lot of people off. And then the second record, Heart Attack, is an awesome cover because it's a great Frank Frazetta cover. So the albums themselves, just to have them in your hands, are really cool. And unfortunately, there's no live stuff out there really. There's a real badly recorded tape of them playing in the Brooklyn Community Center in 1971. But it's not very listenable. But at least there's at least that one live Dust thing out there, and there's some really cool video footage of them as well with music dubbed onto it. And I brought up lately, and I posted on my Facebook page, one of the heaviest rock concerts in world history happened at the Rock Pile in New York in 1971. Black Sabbath was the headliner, and both Sir Lord Baltimore and Dust open the show. I mean, seriously, how heavy is that? Truly incredible. And I'm kind of adapting a new format where I'm basically going to talk about the history of the band. I'm going to do a little analysis and observations about their music, and then I'll get into the collector stuff. So musically, like I say, they were astonishing musicians and happen to be good songwriters too. So there's a lot of really good material, particularly on the second album, Heart Attack. And From a Dry Camel is one of those long, scary dirges that were popular of the era. But and then there's an instrumental that's just frenetic beyond belief and shows their technical ability called Loose Goose. And they continue to display that in some instrumental passages on the second album, Heart Attack, that are really, really cool. And Richie Wise has such a great guitar tone and really great solos. And Richie Wise isn't exactly what you'd call a stunning singer, but he's more than apt. And they have a very original sound. And anybody interested in that type of music, I highly recommend them. So, so let's get into the kind of the collector stuff. There's the two albums. The first one originally had a textured cover and later was released with a non-textured cover. And there's also, I think, a French version that has a completely different cover. It has a picture of the band on it. It's really cool and really rare. And then for the first album, there was actually a promo single with a picture sleeve for Love Me Hard. And so that's a really cool item. And there's also a French picture sleeve for Stone Woman. It has some cool graphics. That came out of France. And so there's some great collector's pieces out there. Then the second album, Heart Attack, came out. And once again, originally had a really nice textured cover and came with a gatefold sleeve with lyrics and some really great pictures of the band. Later reissues had a non-gatefold cover and were available in cutouts for years after that. I was fortunate enough, when they came out, that once again they were playing that stuff on the radio. So when I heard it, I was completely blown away. I was already into Sir Lord Baltimore and Black Sabbath and all that heavy stuff. So when I heard Dust, I was completely blown away. And I think I started with the second album, Heart Attack, and then eventually went back and got the first one. So oh yeah, and by the way, there's also a promotional T-shirt that says "Dust Me Off." I've seen that in pictures before. I was really stunned to see it. It'd be great to get one of those. But so there you have it. Three teenagers from Brooklyn came out with some astonishing metal at the time, and anybody into the hard and loud stuff, you couldn't do much better than Dust. I'm Brian Fox. Thank you for watching.